Hello, once again. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Introduction to Business or Business Organization, depending on which college you're taking me at. I teach at a community college, so to get the full impact of this lesson, you should sign up for my classes. Make sure that you get the reading material, you read the book, you utilize the integrative software that comes with this course. The interactive discussions, whether you're taking them in a face-to-face class or in the forums. Okay, so let's go on. Today we're going to be talking about employee behavior and motivation. A little bit icebreaker. I'm not going to worry about it here. I sometimes try to win in my face-to-face class. We already done it, but we're going to talk about different employee behaviors, individual differences between employees, personality at work, attitudes, matching people with the job, and then motivation in general. So all these here, if you're looking at this section here, what this is going to be is talking about you as an individual. So I want to focus more on this again because I want to make sure you have those emotional skills that you need to get the next job, to get the next promotion, or if you even have that job and promotion, how to manage the employees properly. So you have to understand yourself. And then we're going to talk about the difference. So this is your own behavior, your emotional intelligence, for lack of a better word, your social skills in business. And then the next one, scientific method, Hawthorne studies, McGregor theory, Y, theory X, hierarchy of needs, the Maslow, the pyramid, two factors, Herzberger, expectancy theory. You only depends what the reward is how much effort I'll do, reinforcement, equity to make sure that I reward all my employees fairly, and then participative management. And what does empowerment mean when I, as a manager, give up some authority and responsibility to my workforce? That is a form of motivation. Job enrichment, job enlargement. When do I add different skills or attributes that are motivators, not demotivators, and and how, when, and where should I redesign the job, and modified work schedules. So this is going to be our whole this session this time. So let's go about different forms of behavior. I'm going to try to keep this under an hour. There's a lot of information. I will be very quickly on these areas here because you've already been exposed to that in psychology. You've been exposed to that if you take me for marketing. You've been exposed to this if you're taking me for management, or you will be. One thing I want you to understand, this course here, you're talking about motivating employees. The same concepts and the same skill sets is what marketers or business owners, entrepreneurs, or even managers, are looking at how to motivate customers to come into my store. So you're using the same thing. Instead of getting them to do the job, I'm trying to get customers or clientele to utilize my service. And whether they come into the ad just to come in and check out the store, but then how do I get the sales individuals when they make that interaction to actually motivate them to do a certain task. In this case would be buy something, or in this case is to do the task that I pay them for. Okay, so different forms of employee behavior. And remember, we all exhibit some of those forms. So you have to be careful. Try to exhibit the positive ones. We all have negative sides. No two ways about it. But always try to bring up the positive side, at least when you're in the limelight. I'm just jokingly saying that you should always have the positive side because what I mean. And nowadays with instant messengers, cameras, smartphones, everything else, you could always be in the limelight. Okay, so employee behavior is looked at this way: a pattern of actions by members of an organization that directly or indirectly influence organizational effectiveness. Remember, the whole thing of an organization has to be effective and efficient in what it's doing. Okay, so now we're going to look at this is broken down on this one here. Remember, you've got the concept maps. Follow along. Forms of behavior. This is just employee behavior, a general definition, a repeat. And now we're going to go and it's broken down to performance behaviors, organizational citizenship, and ignore, and counterproductive behaviors. So you want to exhibit that. You always want to have those positive ones, and then we'll talk about this. Remember, we're talking about people now, and then later on, after we understand the individual, as I understand myself or my employees, how I categorize them, and I'm not stereotyping. Please generalize them depending on certain traits and abilities that they have. Now I can motivate them through this other side here. Okay. I keep on forgetting in the classroom. All right, okay. So let's look at performance behaviors, right? We want them all to do well. Total set of work-related behaviors the organization expects employees to display. When I'm at work, I may be a rowdy individual, but at work, the job I have is a conservative type of a job. I'm an instructor, so I am a little bit rowdy. But when I'm talking about a conservative attributes, I gotta be quiet, I gotta be respectful, and at home I might be a little bit different. Remember, we play different roles depending on what is expected of us in that role. And what's expected in that role is sometimes defined by our job description when we hired a job or from our own personal experiences. Okay? So now, directly contribute to productivity and performance. Those are performance, those are the ones I want to reinforce. You know, we're going to talk here and make sure they're fair. And so employees, I want the behaviors and the values. Those are the ones I reward because those are the ones I want to be instilled in my employees, and I want him or her to exhibit them with the customers and my clientele. Okay, so now organizational citizen. When you're looking at it, this is kind of like organizational culture. Organizational citizen includes the positive employee behaviors that do not directly contribute to the bottom line. Remember, I'm doing something, I'm just nice. That's sure indirectly may contribute. I may be doing something that doesn't consider just strictly, there's a cause and there's a thing I could very objective look at and say, here's what happened. A lot of the behaviors could be very subjective. You know, customer service, I could be smiling, it could be helpful, and all those will give me something I may not know, but I can still make the sale and say, here's the thing. It's how you approach this. It's just, I'm just using it as an example. The author did an excellent example within the book. Okay, I'm just recapping. Okay, so we have that. Now, this is the ones you have to be looking for. Make sure you don't exhibit, all of us do a little bit, but not what they always would say. George is a very productive behavior. Okay, behaviors that distract from rather than contribute to. Okay, and I look at this one. I think I had a chart. Let's go with the chart. It makes it real easier. Absenteeism, turnover, it costs me money. Theft, those are behaviors, I'm losing money. Sabotage, either because I'm upset that I need a promotion or upset with an individual, so I sabotage his or her work to get him or her in trouble. But in the nutshell, I'm hurting the organization as a whole, and it hurts my customers and clientele, or I just sell the secrets. There's a lot of different things. Sexual harassment, hostile workplace is not accepted because then I'm worried about the abuser, or I'm worried about that. My mind is not focused directly on what's going on at the work because I'm worried about that I'm going to be sexually harassed. And then violence in the workplace. We try to minimize as much the violence or hostile behavior as much as we possibly can. Okay? All right. So let's see what we have here. Now let me just close this off here. And okay, so now the next one we have individual differences between employees. Whether you like it or not, you have individual differences between employees. Personal attitudes. All employees, everyone were unique, were individuals. So personal attributes that vary one person from another. It could be physical, it could be psychological, it could be emotional. Some people are more sensitive, so how present information or interact. Some are more, as we're going to talk later on, extroverts, introverts. So you got different personalities, and we'll talk about when we look about Briggs and Meyer and different personality things out there. So basically, there's two basic categories: personality and attitude. So let's talk about personality at work. What would I say if someone were to say, "Hey, George, what's George's personality?" He's a good going out guy, or Georgia, he's a good going out gal, or whatever. But we have our own personality. We have a different personality. A lot of times you say, "Oh, his personality, that doesn't mean he would do this." You know what I mean? Because we have a personality, a facade that we show off, that we let people see. We all have our own inner personality, but this is a personality that's whole chapters. The personality you want is a personality that they hired me for, the personality that's acceptable in the workplace. Okay, so personality at work. We have, let's talk, this is a general definition about personality, and I think everyone can see this. I have this at 150. I don't think I want to make it bigger. Let's see what we have here real quickly. Remember, I'm live here, so when I do these are all live. Just close enough. Okay, so you got personality, a relatively stable set of psychological attributes that distinguish one person from the other. Okay? Yeah. Okay, big five personality trait. Big five: agreeableness, conscientious, emotionality, extroversion, and openness. And let me just open these up because I always tell people I would. Personal ability to get along with others. Very important. I'm not saying giving away the ship, but you be able to talk to somebody and not talk down to him or her, and able to communicate with different people, different cultures, different socioeconomic levels that they may be at, either it's financial or educational level. How do I communicate on the level that I am that catalyst, that neutral individual, or that individual that can communicate to a variety of individuals? Conscientiousness is how conscientious I am about something. Reflections of the number of things a person tries to accomplish, right? Refers to the individual's dependability, persistence, and orderliness. Fine. I didn't know all that was in there. See what you're learning in this book, in this chapter. You're learning a lot. Okay, highly conscientious individuals tend to focus on only a few things at a time. I mean, I'm very centered. I'm very focused. A lot of people look at their discipline. It's good. You're a perfectionist, but you understand that to the core. Which is, and I'm not going to say anything, but you have to be able to, none of us are real good multitaskers. You have to put your on the large items that you actually need, the main areas of concern or opportunities you have to focus in on. Okay, but you got to have a very conscientious type of thing. Bring in new process, you're reorganizing, hiring individuals. You have to look at some of the detail. Less conscientious individual, wider range of interests, often disorganized and less self-discipline. They are likely to be organized, systematic, careful. This one is here. Oops, sorry. Not the less. Okay, careful, thoughtful, responsible, self-discipline. Okay? I had it in the wrong spot. Excuse me. All right, so the highly conscientious individuals are organized, systematic, careful, thorough, responsible, self-disciplined. That's what I expect a doctor. That's what I expect about an engineer. That's what I expect someone who's doing something else. I expect most individuals to have some kind of organization or some order, okay? Now, the next one you have is emotionality. Refers to the degrees of which people tend to be positive or negative, depending on the outlook of behavior towards others. So positive emotionality is relatively more poised, calm, secure. I could be a little bit riled, but I'm kind of calm in most cases. But we all have our buttons that will be pushed. As a manager, as a leader of a company, as you're moving up, you have to be able to control those buttons. I know our presidential races, you have one candidate that's a little more easier to push the button than the other, but still, you have to be able to how to control that. Okay, negatively emotional are more excitable, insecure, and reactive. Now you talk about extroversion, and you have to a person's comfortable level with the people. Extroverts are very sociable, talkative, assertive, open to establishing new relationships. Introverts, much less social, talkative, and assertive, less, remember, and more reluctant to begin new a relationship. I kind of fall in between both of us. As a kid, English is a second language. So I had trouble speaking English, everything else. We come from a large family, so I kind of kept to myself. I might have been an introvert, but then I learned to become more of an extrovert. But I still like to keep. I have a lot of people I make connections with, but I keep a smaller group of really close acquaintances. And most people do that. Doesn't make me an introvert, but if you are an introvert and you're going to be in business or management, you have to get around it. I went to a workshop and the lady was teaching how to talk out. She was an introvert, and she says, you wouldn't know it. She says, you have to learn. This is part of the business. No way around it. Okay? Now Briggs and Myers framework, understanding personality in the organization, based in Carl Jung, divide people into four dimensions: extrovert, introvert, sensing, and intuition. Someone's got that feeling. To me, it kind of looked a little bit bold, but thinking versus feeling, judging versus perceiving. So now let's go into extroverts. Get their energy for being around people. It makes sense. I'm a social person. I'm a being. I don't like that side. I like to always be around things. Look, I like to be where the action is, but not the focus of the action. That's a good leader. Now, introverts are worn out by others and need time to rewind, recharge their energy. So you don't stress out. Sleep, music, let's see, exercise are good ways for relieving stress. Sensors prefer concrete things. Okay, so when we look at this, the chart, I had a chart in here. I forgot someplace on here. I'll find this chart. But extroverts and introverts, you put them together, are worn out. So you put those two together, they work off each other to help each other get stronger, or in both sides overcome. Sensing types prefers concrete things. Intuitive preferred abstract concepts. So again, I try to pair up the people. Or when you're doing anything, the whole thing about Briggs and Myers framework is when I'm dealing with another individual and trying to communicate, I'm coming from one perspective, one lens, one view, and he or she's looking at another way. How do I find that the common denominator? Come on, we went to Matt. Let's throw this in. So I throw a little bit STEM learning in here. Okay. Now, thinking individuals. If I look at thinking individuals, base their decision on logic and reasoning. Feeling individuals base their decision more on feelings and an emotion. That kind of makes sense. So I put those two together so I have a balance. Because sometimes just because it's logical. Remember Spock, in I can't think of it now. The Star Wars, Enterprise. Okay, so when I'm looking at Spock, he was very logical, and Kurt was the one that was more in intuition. Together, they made it strong. Okay, so that worked out well. Okay, judging type enjoys competition or being finished first. Perceiving types enjoy the process of open-minded situation. Remember, as a manager, you put them together. But if I put the two together, sometimes they're clashing unless you understand. So all Briggs and Myers are doing, once you understand your strong personality type, for lack of better words, you know what you're looking for. So if you understand the other person's personality type, you can find where that common denominator is, for lack of better words. Okay. Now, emotional intelligence. This is very important. If I look at emotional intelligence, is emotional intelligence or equivalent of emotional equivalent is self-awareness, person's capacity for being aware of how they are feeling. So it comes into this 5 categories. Manage your emotions. Even if you're mad at someone, my grandson, somebody gets mad, you say, hey, calm down here. But at this age, he's got to learn how to control his temper. No, things go wrong. You have to, sometimes the employee's yelling at you, sometimes they're in your face. You have to know how to take that breath and smile. In your mind, you may do that, but not physically out there. You have to know how to control it and say, he's not yelling at you, he's not upset with you, he's upset with the policies or whatever is going on. You just have the title, and you are the representation of the company or the leadership of that department or owner. Okay, so managing emotion to balance anxiety, fear, and anger, so they did not overly interfere with getting things done. They didn't say they could get rid of it. I'm still mad, but I still have to know how to manage. I could be pissed off, but I'm still have to know, okay, don't show the customer. You can show a little bit of my face. I'm not happy, but I'll help it. But not that thing, geez, you're pain. Okay, so be careful on that. Can motivate themselves. This is a big one. Remember, this is all emotional intelligence. You came to the classroom. You took an online class. Anyone taking an online class with me have to be self-motivated. There's no one pushing you. There's no time frame. You could work 24/7. But whenever you, but you have to still finish it by the due date. You just have a little more flexibility one that day. That you don't have to come to the classroom, but you're outside the classroom. Okay. Striving to face setbacks, barriers, or failure. Empathy for others. You have to, as a manager or an owner, or even if I'm selling something to somebody, understand how he or she would see that policy, what you're doing. To understand how others are feeling, even without being explicitly told. You're looking at your senses. You got that emotions. You're looking, you're looking logically what's going on, and you can feel what's something else going on. This one here is kind of a social skill. How people get along without establish positive relationship. Some of the social skills could be also, a lot of times if you're interviewing and you go someplace to eat, and I see some people talking with their food in mouth. My God, I was all over. I said, man, no social skills. How the heck do you get high? Look, if you want to eat with your food in your mouth with your fingers, fine. You're out with individuals, exhibit socially acceptable eating manners, for lack of a better word. Okay, other personalities at trait. is locus of control, extent to which people feel that their behavior has a real effect on what happened to them. You have internal locus of control, people, and then external. Internal locus of control, sure, stuff happens, but I can still control how do I find a solution. External locus of control is, oh man, all this happened, I would have got it, but who could fight the environment? The environment's down, we can't do nothing. That's basically, is the glass half full or half empty. Okay? Self-efficacy is a person's belief about his or her own capability to perform a task. That's the ability, and that ties in a little bit when we go later on about Maslow's self-esteem. Okay, authoritism. Trust me, English second language. Read it. We're doing fine. Is the extent to which a person believes that power and status difference are appropriate within hierarchical social systems or organizations. I believe in certain levels of order. I don't believe that someone just starts here should be the president of the company as he or she opens up the company, or they have some exceptional knowledge, not just only because they know the owner or it's the owner's son or daughter. Okay, it's just me. Machiavellism or machiavellism describes behavior directly at gaining power and controlling the behavior of others. Okay, now self-esteem is the extent to which a person believes that he or she is worthwhile and deserving individual. If I have a low esteem, I don't think, oh, I'm a loser. I'm just, I'm going to fail the exam. Start thinking positive. I'm a winner. I'll fail. I'll pass the exam. I've done my best. I'm out there. That's what we're looking for. We all have our downs, but you have to be able to bring yourself back up. That's part of the emotional intelligence when you're looking at here, or other personality traits at work. Okay. Let's see. So you have high esteem, more likely to seek higher status jobs, be more confident in his or her ability to speak up. And if you look at Sheryl Sandberg, the video we watched a little while back in leadership, is you got to come up to the table. I mean, she's not talking about eating table. It's just a meeting. The women usually have a tendency to sit back, where the guys try to sit, kiss up where the bosses are. That say, hey, and it could be the same thing for you if you're a gentleman and you don't want to always sitting back because maybe your self-esteem or they've got a higher education or whatever. Hey, if you got something to contribute, they don't care where it comes from. You're under staff, sit up at the table, bring in, put your 2 words in. But first, when you first get there, don't be cocky. Come in there and look at it and say, okay, see the players, look at the politics, see when you do it, and speak when you have something that is worthwhile. Then now all of a sudden you're building your brand, your intelligence. Okay, risk personality is person wanting to take chances more riskier. Men need to be a little more risky. Not that women are riskier. Women are more calculated. Where men may just go for intuition. I think I should do it. Experiment with new ideas and gamble on new products. Okay? Man, that's a long one. Let me turn all that off here. Okay, the next one is, so we went from personality. Now let's go in attitudes. Just more for individuals. What's an attitude? General, I got a smiley attitude, or I got a non-smiley attitude, or I got that kind of an attitude. You're looking at it, you got a yelling attitude. What? You get up on the wrong side of bed, sir? All those attitudes. Let's leave it with a smiley attitude, okay? That's what I want. Reflect our beliefs and feeling about specific ideas, situations, and other people. They are the mechanism through which we express our feeling. Attitudes are feelings. You can tell you got a bad attitude, you got a chip on your shoulder. You don't have to say a word. I can just look at your face. Okay, the nonverbal. Remember, about 80% when we talk about the communications down there is nonverbal. And sometimes it could be higher. How are attitudes formed? Let's put the smiley face again on here. Remember, this is live. They're formed, and they could be by someone yelling at me, and this is my attitude. You're no good or anything else. I want the person to say, hey, I know you could do it. I want that encourager, and then you do it. Hey, we all make a mistake. Get up. I use that example a lot of time in the classroom. Say, look at me. I sometimes stutter. I sometimes pronounce the words wrong. English second language. I trip. I do this. But hey, what's the difference? Okay, we make a mistake. Go forward. As long as you're trying, people know no one's perfect. At least I'm not. And most people aren't. We try to, and every time you do better. You made a mistake, don't use the words. Try to practice ahead of time. Do you see what I'm talking about? And so that's where attitude. You already got that personal attitude. Right? So any of the big fives that we're going to be talking about here, the big fives up here, where the heck we are. I just want would make some personality at work. Remember the big fives? Okay, how our attitudes form, big fives, individual personality traits may influence our attitudes. Okay, attitude structure. If I look at this, again, let me get this with a smiling guy. Okay, the structure. Attitude structure is viewed as a stable disposition to behavior towards objects in a certain way. We react in certain situations. Someone's hurt, they kind of expect you. You know, if you lost a loved one, tears are okay. You see, they expect that. You have some empathy, for lack of better words. Okay, views as stable. Cognition is the knowledge a person presumes to have about something based on perceptions of truth and reality. Affect, person's feelings towards something, similar to emotion, something over which we have little or no conscious control of. Okay, intention guides a person's behavior. Some attitudes and corresponding intentions more central, significant to individuals than others. The cognitive and dissonance, and let me just give you an example of this one. When two sets of cognitive perceptions are contrary or in conjunction. A person's experience level of conflict and anxiety. I just bought a new, let's say I'm getting married. And right before I go up there, I've got this, is she the right one or is he the right one? You know what I'm talking about? And you're going back and forth. Once you say that, oh yeah, she is, I said it, I worked it, and the first day you go after, all of a sudden a whole new personality comes in. Whoa, what did I do? And it's the same thing when you buy a car. You bought a car and you see a sale for another car that's similar, maybe you feel, I wish I would have bought that one. So what do? To overcome that, they send you all these good brochures and everything else to let you know that you made the right decision, so you have a positive attitude. So when you talk to your colleagues and your friends, you say, hey, he's got a positive attitude, he's doing fine. So let's talk about attitudes. Attitude at work, job satisfaction, degree of enjoyment people derive from performing the job. Every job got its bad parts of the job. I never like disciplining or firing an individual, but I have to do it. But majority of the job I enjoy. Creativity, talking to people, being social. So you look at the good. Same thing with any kind of relationship. You have your good and your bad. If the good outweigh the bad, we all have, there's that percentage of bad. Okay, if you have more bad than good, then you have to either change something or modify the behavior or do something or get out of that situation. No way around it. Or close off that deal because it doesn't work with that. Okay, organizational commitment, individual's identification with organization and its mission. Remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about the mission statement, different mission statements, so we know that. And we did that as a homework at a discussion. Matching people with the right job. If you look at the psychological contract, overall sets of expectations held by employees and organization on what organization will provide them. It's not a written contract. I come there, I expect a good, clean health thing. I expect respect. I expect good environment, good friends and social. It's an indirect. You work here because we got very friendly people. We help each other. We're part of a team. And there's no contract that says you will work. All team members are friendly. But it's just that psychological contract. Psychological contract is not written on paper, just like I explained. And here's the chart. Contribution from an effort, ability, loyal skills, time, competencies, inducement from an organization. They pay me fairly. They give me benefits, security, status, promotion, and career. Okay? Now, does the person fit the job? The extent of the person's contribution to the organization, inducements, which one? Do you see what I'm talking about? There's a balance. How much you're going to work, how much I pay, is the reward and everything else fair. Now, in theory, what the author is talking about, an employee has a specific set of needs that she wants fulfilled and a set of job-related behaviors and abilities to contribute. I'm an IT individual. I'm not, by far. I'm a plug-and-play person. But then I would like to be with people with the same likes. When a company gives me the opportunity to work on computers or mainframes or something else. So I enjoy that. You know what I mean? Indirectly, I don't have to. I could just be repairing it, but they let me say, hey, could you do some troubleshooting? And that puts me out of just the everyday thing, but gives me some, hey, I have that ability. I could utilize what I've studied, what my passion, my love is, and I could basically do that for a job. Don't you hate individuals like that? I love that when I do the teaching. You know what I mean? I enjoy teaching. I'm trying to, just like anything else, trying to pay off my student loans. So if you got any extra cash, send it up this way. You'll be real appreciated. I do the classes. So if you know what you like to sign me, look me up, take me up for a class. I always throw a little bit of that in there. It doesn't hurt marketing. It also helps the schools that I teach it and the publisher and everything else because you'll say, hey, I like the way he or she presents it. It doesn't have to be me, but remember, I always press it to community colleges as a good value for your money. You have people that are in the field coming in there. They teach you right to this. It's very, most of us, like myself, my degrees in business administration all the way up to my doctorals, and I'm a practitioner. I take this information and try to make it pliable, not something in the future, now. Okay, so general motivation. Now we're going to start going into the tools a manager needs. Okay, so what's motivation? A set forces that causes people to behave in certain ways. Managers must understand these differences in behavior and reasons for them. Classical motivation was only money, and this basically was a classical or scientific method. You know, Frederick Taylor, 3 elements to increase productivity was time, motion. We still use these in business. You have to know how much to charge, how long it's going to take a task. When you're looking, instead of manufacturing, remember we talked about operations, we're looking at processes within an organization when you're doing services. How long is it going to take a haircut? So you go to a doctor to schedule an appointment. Most doctors could resolve and take care of you in 15 minutes and don't make you feel rushed, but some maybe take 20 minutes or 30, but you have to have that balance. So you have to have time and motion. If most of my patients, like a psychiatrist, need more than 15 minutes, you may need an hour, I have to adjust that, and I have to know how long and what's going to be acceptable. Operations, I'm talking about doctors, but no different than any kind of process or operation you're doing. Okay, so time motion studies, task lead principle motion. I'm not going to go into this, but just so you can see it. Methods of work, determines the best method. If you did McDonald's retail and you can see everything's in a certain way, and if all of a sudden you want mayonnaise, that's out of there, but everything else we work quickly. Okay, Taylor's 4 principles, and he basically studied how the jobs perform, codify the best methods, preferred method, choose workers whose skills match the rules. Again, the behavior and the attitude. And then the grand chart is when you do it. Okay, so in the Hawthorne study, basically, Mayo, his findings was, it's electrical system. People act differently when they're being observed. I'm not going to go into this. Look at it, the book, and everything else. Research study find workers' efficiency on the different lights. They put different lights, changed it, and they were more productive. They took the lights away or made it dimmer. They're still productive. Just that management took a focus. They were part of the study. They had input within the process to put on the lights, or we asked, did this work? Did it help your productivity? That was what. And this basically, when you look at scientific method, why the Hawthorne effect was so important, because this was the crossover to behavioral. Behavior says people are more than machines. People are not only looking at money, they want to be respectful. They are motivated in different things. Intrinsic, extrinsic is what the next one we're going to be talking about. Okay, so what's the next one? McGregor, theory X, theory Y, X assumptions. And when you look at theory X, theory Y, most managers are going to tell you we are theory Y managers, participative type of manager. The thing you have to look at, if I in my mind am a theory X, that's my mind in here, I'm a theory X type of manager. Everyone I look at, I'm going to be autocratic, because I say all workers hate work and avoid it. Workers must be forced or threatened. Workers prefer to be direct and avoid responsibility. Primary motivators are fear and money. That's my mentality. So let's participate. I think they're all going to try to rip me off, or students are all cheaters, or all are lazy. Do you see what I'm talking about? But now, if I'm a theory Y type of individual, most people, the majority of your employees are going to be theory Y. They like to work. They took the job. They may not like every part of it, but you're paying them to do a good, decent day's work for what I'm being paid. I always want to do more, but they're okay. Workers seek goals that are committed towards reward. They perceive the reward. People use creativity to solve the problem. Intellectual capacities only partially realized. Is partially realized. People are motivated by a variety of reward. I want to say a lot of people, they have more. And I was looking at first, I'm going to throw that autocratic, but understand, most individuals could do more than we ask them for. Stretch them. Don't break them, rubber band. You could break them, you stretch them and give them that challenge. That's what they're looking for. That's part of motivation. Then intrinsic. Okay, so this is McGregor. And then the other one is compared in the chart, and you have in this. Okay, so I'm not just going to go and look at it, and it has everything in here. I opened up. Now, hierarchy of needs is basically Maslow. Maslow, for lack of better words, his theory of motivation, or not Maslow, yeah, motivation based on unmet human needs. Okay, so physiological needs to safety. He had the pyramid. You still have to, you have to eat first, and you have the safety, and you want the social, relationship, and then you start moving up the ladder. Needs that have already been met don't motivate. Once I have food, that doesn't motivate me. I got my paycheck. Hey, okay, next raise in 6 months. Hey, that's not motivating me. What motivates me daily? And that's what you're going to find out. Is that intrinsic that we're going to be talking about that. Okay, if a need is filled, a higher need. Now remember, what goes up comes down. So if I met all the needs going up to my self-accusation, and all of a sudden I lost my job, or lost my wife, or something happened, or lost my house for financial planning, and I fall down to the bottom, now the process starts all over. Or I fall down the next level. The importance of this is that you understand at what level, where that individual employee or customer is, so I could motivate him, reward him, or stimulate him or her with certain positive reinforcements or techniques, so it'll create a more of a intrinsic or extrinsic type of factors that improve motivation. Got through that one, and here's the hierarchy pick. Okay, so you look at this, remember, the bottom of food, security, I want a job, social needs, friends at work, friendship, esteem, job title, self-accusation, challenge job, fulfillment. Anything happens, I fall down. And this is the same thing. At first you can't sell anything to anyone who's unemployed, right? I'm from a business perspective, so I'm looking, once their basic needs are taken care of, so that's why it's satisfied. Once their basic needs are looking security, car is safe. If something, I'm motivating not to sell my product. Someone breaks into a home or burglary, all of a sudden you not feel safe. That's where you have the alarm systems coming in, companies trying to sell you that. You see what I'm happening? So I'm doing from employee to customers. Same factors, people go through the same rationale for like the same sequence of steps according to Maslow's hierarchy. Okay, now Maslow, remember these are all behavioralists versus after the scientific or the classical. Remember, where people are only doing it for money. Now the next one, the hierarchy. Okay, so now I go to two factor. Now the two factor, Hertzberger's concept, he basically looked at. Let's see what I have here. He had two questions. What factors could managers control, and what do workers rank job-related factors? So managers are most effective increasing work motivation. That's what they control. And workers, in the order of importance, relate to motivation. So here's what he broke it down. He broke it down to job content and motivators. Or, motivators, okay. Hygiene factors and job content. So let's go. I got to move this around here. I got all these errors. Okay, let me just go on this way. Okay, job content. The job itself were the most important to worker. The title. If you were working as a garbage truck driver, that's a very, what do you do? I drive a garbage truck. Oh, what do you do? I'm a sanitation engineer. Okay, content level highest motivators. Okay, now some of the motivators are job factors that cause employee to be productive from the job, achievement, recognition. These are motivators. So he's got motivators, right? And he's got hygiene factors. Work itself, peer relationships, that gives them satisfaction. Now the job environment is factors that maintain satisfaction, but do not basically motivate. And he called them. I had this around here the other way. He called these basically hygiene factors. Let me just get rid of this. I must have did something to mess this up. Hang on a second. Remember, we're live. That's all right. So he called these hygiene factors. Help maintain worker satisfaction. Did little to increase motivation. Okay, workers, salary, company policy, status, supervisor. I may have a jerky boss, but I love my job, so I'm still motivated. Or if I got a good boss, a lot of good bosses, they can't get the people motivated or fire them up to basically do the job. They have a good boss, they're good, but they don't have that motivation. How does he motivate them? He or she. Okay, now the job environment maintains satisfaction, but does not motivate. Okay, two-factor sheet. So basically, when you really look at motivation and hygiene factors, okay. So when I'm looking, I think I know what I did here. Let me just click on here real quickly. Hang on. It bothers me. Okay, so hygiene factors will fit underneath here. Okay, so I do it this way. Okay, so you got motivators, achievement, recognition. Those motivate work itself, responsibility, advancement, and hygiene factors, supervisor, everything else. Makes it a little clearer. I just had my concept maps a little mixed up, but that's part of learning. You're flexible. You're good. Okay, now expectancy theory in a nutshell is I'm only going to work as hard as what I expect my reward going to be. My effort is going to be dependent on my performance, on the organization's reward, and my own personal goals. That's the expectancy theory in a nutshell. And here's another flow chart. Basically, what you have to look at, even the expectancy theory, can I accomplish the task? Do I have the time? Not only the abilities, do I have the time? Am I taking on too much work? Not, then you're not motivated. Is the outcome reward worth it? Yes, then I'll be motivated. If not, I'm not motivated. You're gonna get the outcome. I gotta work all these late hours. What do I get? 1% rate. The inflation rate is 2%. Hey, you're not gonna help me much. I'm not gonna do all those hours because it's not. I don't see. I don't see the reward is what I expect for the input. My output should be a little bit higher, which is in my case would be the reward. Okay, and this basic modification expectancy theory, and only modification suggests 5 steps. We talked about this. I'm going to focus in on. If you understand these, this is just another way of looking at that. Okay. Now, equity theory means that you treat everyone fairly. Remember, you don't want to discriminate. So the workers, if they do the same amount of effort. Now, here's where it comes to be tricky. I have a brand new worker, just got hired 6 months, but he excelled for other workers in the same category. He's like about 4 months ahead of him. Or them, okay? So now I may give him exceeds my expectation for that work and give him a reward higher in that category. Now versus someone who has been working there for a long time and so I'm looking at their to be equitable with that individual with other individuals that have the experience and the long and understand the job because they've been working there longer. They should be more productive and have less errors than a brand new worker. Do you see what I mean? So that individual, unless he or she exceeds my expectation with other ones, I try to fare them equally. You see where I'm looking at the equal? You can't say, well, I give it to him because he's longer, he's got a bigger job. I don't give him here. Remember, his raise, if I give him 3% raise of 20, let's say 30,000, is a lot less than if I is less than I give this person who's been there and is making 90,000. I want to give him a 2% raise because that's what he equivalates. When you look at the dollar amount, don't look at the percentage. Look at the dollar, what that percentage is being multiplied against. Okay. Now, reinforcement theory in the psychology is basically I want the same behavior to keep a behavior or get rid of extinction, get rid of a behavior that I don't want to practice. And if I'm looking at this, I have positive behavior, right? Reinforces pay, raises, increases. You do that, you have it. Negative behavior, how do I stop that? I give him reprimands, write him up, or threaten to fire him, and actually sometimes do fire. Extinction, basically, I try to stop the behavior but not responding to it. What you have to be careful, the extinction, if I never reward or tell somebody he or she's doing a good job, and they after a while are going to stop that behavior on me, okay? Okay, let me just look at this real quickly. Let me just pause it. We're doing pretty good. Okay, now participative management and empowerment. We always hear this participative management. That'll fall in where we go back in here where we had the theory X and theory Y. This is where relationship building, this is where your emotional skills and everything else as a leader have to be fine-tuned, have to be at its game. Participative management is bringing people together. That's the relationship building. If you have a good team that could solve problems, if you look at and I always try to with the medical, if you look at doctors, when they're looking at a person that has some kind of illness, they have a psychiatrist there, they have a person that's a blood, they have an anesthesiologist, they have other individuals that all are experts, but they're working together as a team to make sure that one doesn't do something that may have a negative effect on the other person. You can't see it all. That's why you need to have more individuals. You're more effective manager leader on that. Okay. So let's look at participative management. What does it do? Employees are given a voice in how they do their jobs. I don't want wallfall hours, but I don't want you to call me an idiot. I want you to be politically and professional, say Dr. George, or your boss, or Sally, or whatever, or Mr. President. Did you consider this course of action? I want to just bring up, here's some limitation that may happen. So there's some negative effect. Here's the positive, but here's some negative. We have to show, could we handle it? Will it be good public PR for our organization? Those are things you bring up, not afterwards. Oh, I knew I should have said something. Don't tell me after it happens. Tell me now. That's why I hire you. That's why you're there. But then when the team says, this is the way it's going, you have to be able to jump on and say, yes, we're going to go with the team. Even though I may not agree with all of it, but this is the decision the team came in, and I'm going to make it happen according to those rules. Maybe down the road change it depending what goes on. They become more empowered and take greater risks, responsibilities, and it often makes employees feel more committed. Organizational goals, everything I said. Okay, now here's the two things you have to look: job enrichment and job design. Job enrichment, let's go in here. I open up. Let's go job enrichment. Add one or more motivating, not new work to do. It looks like you're bombarding an individual factors to do job activity. Job rotation, it could be cross training, just to give them a little sign. You think my job is easy? Take it for a while. Or rotate individuals to see on the other side. Oh man, if I don't do this, I can see how hard it is for you in here. Instead of saying, could you put the label on? Now I got to put the label on. After the fact, it's easier at this process because I'm in that other shoes. It also helps with empathy. I understand the other person, the other process. That's what's kind of good with cross rotation. You see how the whole process works, and you see how you could be an effect, positive or negative in that. Or if you're going up there, the more you understand conceptually the whole process, the more of an asset you are to your organization, and the better decision maker you are. Okay, so workers gain on the skill set with a broader review, excuse me, of their working organization. Now, when I'm redesigning their organization, sometimes when a company grows, like anything else, we have to do some changes. You bring another person in, another process, just like your own family. You have another child, or you get married, and you have to make some adjustment. Businesses have to redesign jobs because of environmental factors, or because of new laws, or because of the workforce, whatever, new idea, new market, whatever. You have to make those adjustments, and part of the adjustment, try to get away with the same way, but eventually you have to just change out the whole layout. Take it apart and restructure or redesign it. Restructure the work to achieve a more satisfying fit of workers and their jobs. Okay, implement in one of three ways. Okay, combining different tasks. Remember, I'm not. If you're just adding on here, the things they're adding on here, when you're doing this restructuring, a lot of times what you do, you also change your job title, even though you're doing most of it. Because if I'm doing the same job and you just laid off Sally or Harry, and basically you say, now this is job enrichment. I said, what the hell, job enrichment? I'm doing two jobs now, same pay, same title. When you restructure the job, you take some of it away that doesn't make sense with that job. The majority of it stays. Give that individual a new title which corresponds to what's out in the market. So when I'm looking, am I paying them properly? I'm compensating them properly, or I'm bringing new employees. I'm looking at apples with apples and oranges with oranges. So now I changed everything else, and even though they're doing more tasks, some of them went away that didn't make sense. They have a new title, so in their mind, they're basically remotivated. And remember, not all don't give them all the bad work. You give them the motivating aspects of the job. And remember, some of them motivating. There's always the 80-20 rule. 20% is probably some bad stuff. Hopefully, 80% is a good experience in the job. I have a positive attitude about the job, the description, and the process. Okay, so combining the tasks. Okay, forming natural work groups. And this one helps employee. I spelled that wrong. Employee see importance of the job within the firm. Okay. Makes sense? And establishing client relations. This is the biggest thing. Once I do this with combine different clients, if you're doing geographic or a product, but I understand when I'm in the task, I make sure, like the company I worked with, electric utility, is they had people all over, and you had engineering department, but you had your economies of efficiency, so, right? But what happened was everyone worked at their own process or silo. So if I wanted to satisfy customer satisfaction, I did not control engineering, I did not control supply or sales, whatever. So it was kind of hard. You know what I mean? You only had sales, but you didn't control the other aspect to get the job done. So, but if you put it all in one leadership, then that control is there. I control all of them because I have all employees know I'm the person they have to report to, and part of my mission and my job is to make sure to meet the customer's service state fairly, effectively, with quality, and in a timely manner. Almost think I'm back at work again. All right? And that's how you connect with customers' relationships. You're able to, if you say you're going to do something, you're able to be able to follow through on that. Okay. Now, modified work schedule. This is you have job sharing is usually benefits both employees and employers. And for employees, it tends to appreciate organization more. I'm going to lay off so to share a job, or I have family commitment. I want to work half time, so I come in the morning and somebody else comes at nighttime. We share the same desk and we split the work or help each other out. Okay. And the company reduces turnover, saves costs and benefits because I don't have to hire another person to do like 40% of a job because I don't have enough work for one person, but or I have enough work for a half a person or two person or a person and a half. It'll work out. Okay. Now, flexible programs. If I'm looking at flex time, allow people to choose their working hours by adjusting a standard work schedule on a daily basis. There are limits. You have to look at the core period. You can't just come whenever you want. I have to maintain a certain amount of employees at a certain time. So there's a core time. Like if I look at most businesses, the core time is lunchtime, maybe from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. A lot of customers if you're a retailer. And at the end, maybe from about like 3:30 to about like 6:30 when people are going home. I'm stuck in traffic. Might as well go buy something. Wait here, burn up. I'll go inside, relax, have a pop or something else, and buy my needs. I'm already on the way. Hopefully, traffic will be lighter. Okay. Telecommunicating. Most managers do telecommunicating. I look at tele as an online class. What does it does? It gives me flexibility. I could take the class on my time within a certain time period, certain boundaries. It saves the company money because I don't have to have a classroom. I could have half in face to face and half online, and they still have the same contact hours, but it gives you flexibility. And some of this, when I'm doing telecommunication or flex time, is allow some work done away from home. From a standard office, I may provide you, and you look at the book colleges I teach at, the students have access to Microsoft Office 365, but a license agreement that colleges has, so students could use the software. It's not a burden on them, but this way it helps everyone else. They have the skill sets, the software, the technological skill sets, the experience when they go into businesses. Usually, Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, because they're very interchangeable, a little bit accessed. Okay, and advantages of schedules: it's committed employees, reduces the stress, improve productivity because I have that break, less congestion in the office, and more satisfied employees. Some of the disadvantages are challenging to coordinate and manage. Whew, from a manager, trust me, that is a challenge. Let me just turn this off here. Okay. So we look at this where we're at improved product disadvantages. Sorry, poor fit for some employees, lack of network and coworker contact. You need that social. We found that out from Maslow. People like it. You have like Google had everyone had in these virtual offices, but you don't share ideas. You feel isolated. You're all by yourself, like I am in here. But the classroom, you feel you make that connection. Okay, people need that social interaction. Lack of management belief. All right, so let's see what we have here. I'm almost in here. Let me see. Expand back to level 1. So we've done a lot. I think I'm underneath my 1 hour. We covered about forms of employee behavior. Very important. Students ask me, what do I need, Dr. George? Do I need the education or do I need the emotional, emotional intelligence? EI. I said you need both to be successful. I got to have logic. The school tells me what to look out for. You're learning everything else. Not only definitions in my classroom and taking the classes, reading the interactive software. You know how to apply the concepts into real life situations and apply it into your business. How to change the culture. How to go forward as an employee. Make sure that you're not the one that has a poor attitude. You're looking at personality. Some people just have no personality. They're not going to be in sales. Look at people who are your managers. They have to have some kind of personality about relationships. How do I match the right individual for the job? I know you want to pay, but if you don't have the skill set, you're not going to be on. You're going to be unhappy. You're going to be unhappy. Then basically you're not going to be productive. You're not going to be motivated, and everyone suffers. Motivation as a whole, scientific method, time, motion, everything else. You have to know what your work is consistent of. Hawthorne effect is basically is a lead to the behavioralist movement. That if you with participative management, remember people aren't machines. They have feelings, how I talk to you, how I address you, and those same feelings, how I talk to my employees, is a transformation, how they talk to their customers. Expectancy theory, what I expect out of them and what they expect from me. And then Herzberger talked about motivators. So focus on the motivator. And then he also talked about hygiene factors. Pay and everything is nice, but the motivators, that intrinsic, what makes me, my drive, my attitude, that's what I'm looking for. In participative management, it's okay to let go. People say, well, management jobs are dwindling. Yes, the staff position, not the skill set to deal with people. You need that. That's people. Little stuff, how to get everything done. Got all these creative people, how do you get them to work? You're the catalyst that gets things done as a manager, owner, or department head, or even another employee. How do I get the next job? And job enrichment and job design and different schedules, remember? So this side here is on people, how the skills I'm looking for, and this side here, for lack of better words, on this, sorry, you can't see it, this side is people, and this side here is basically as a manager, how do I get it to happen? All right, so my name is Dr. Jordan Mochocki. I enjoyed this section. We'll be in the next section. I think we'll be doing lesson 9. And, look me up, look me at the college. Remember, if you can't take me, this gives you a quick overview. But, sign up at either my classes or other instructors. They're excellent instructor, community colleges, a resource. You're paying your taxes. Utilize, be effective, efficient on that. And I'll see you in the next chapter. And have a nice night. Bye.